Right, and I will bring up the script. And Rob, whenever you're ready, please go ahead.
All right. I'm calling this Back Bay Architectural Commission Violations Committee public hearing to order at 4:30 p.m. on March 11th, 2026. You can participate in the hearing by going to the Zoom meeting link in our agenda posted online at https://www.boston.gov/public-notices 16566-871 or by calling 301-715-8592 and entering the ID number 161-957-7156. You can also submit written comments or questions to backbayac@boston.gov. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are conducting this hearing online. To ensure public access to deliberations of the Back Bay Architectural Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can press *9 to raise your hand, or you can send your questions to staff via email at backbayac@boston.gov. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person and should be focused on the project's exterior features, which include landscaping. Issues related to use, street traffic, and noise are outside the commission's purview.
Great, thank you. So the Violation Commission members who are present, we have David Sampson and Rob Weintraub, and we also have Commissioner Thomas High present, and staff, myself, Joseph Cornish, and Preservation Assistant Sarah Lawton. So I will, Rob, it's all right. I'll give an update on the first violation.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that's 72 Commonwealth Avenue, and when we met with them back in January, it was determined for me to work with them to come up with a solution that can be approvable. So I did meet with them on site, and we had a good meeting, and what we agreed on, this is the color that we want to match for the rest of the building. Surprisingly, a lot of the features still are in overall good condition. Some of them do need to be kind of
Fixed.
yeah, fixed, repaired.
Carved out.
Yeah, but I will be meeting as soon. Obviously, the weather's not the right time to do any more work. So as soon as they are ready to move forward, I will be meeting with their mason just again to go over the scope of work and make sure we're all on the right page of what needs to be done and what it needs to look like. So I think we're in a good position here with this.
So should I
resolving.
make a motion to continue this violation for 60 days?
No, I don't think we need to, we don't need to vote on this because I think we took care of it back in January. It was
Okay.
kind of just left up to me.
That's an update. All right.
Joe, you say when they're ready to fix it. What does that mean? Is it going to be?
As soon as the weather is, up for, I would say it probably will be the end of April, beginning of May before they can start work, just because it's still too cold to do much.
Did you give them a timeline? Like it's going to be done before like June 1st or July 1st or anything like that?
We didn't give them a specific timeline when we made the motion to remand it to me. If it seems like by June 1st we're not getting anywhere, I can have them come back.
Okay. All right.
So that.
Did you pick colors? Did you find out the color? You color matched it already?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yep.
All right.
So I think, Rob, we can move to the next violation.
Yeah, so our next violation is violation 26.1014, unapproved masonry work at the front facade and unapproved removal of a tree and landscape work at the front garden.
All right, and I think Ted and Sharon are here.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hi, yes, hi. So before we start, I'm just going to give a little recap here. Like a little out of order. No, I think this was your printer, so this isn't what
Yeah.
the building actually looks like. So I'll just say the violation was unapproved masonry work at front facade and unapproved removal of tree and landscape work at the front garden, and this was continued from January 14th, 2026. Work at the front of the building, including removal of a linden tree, paving of the front garden, and masonry work, has taken place with no building permit and without the prior review and approval of the Back Bay Architectural Commission. At the January 14th, 2026 meeting, the committee approved the masonry repair scope of work and asked the property owner to consult with the Garden Club of the Back Bay on an appropriate landscape plan. After consulting with the Garden Club, the owner is proposing replacing the unapproved pavers with mulch, planting 3 evergreen shrubs, and planting either a Japanese maple tree or star magnolia tree. So staff recommends approval of the landscape plan, provided staff confirms the size and species of the proposed tree. Based on feedback from the Garden Club, installation of an irrigation system is recommended but not required. So so this is what I think we're proposing, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything, Ted and Sharon, you want to add?
There is a little perimeter brick.
This
that's part-
here.
Yeah,
you can see.
that we were looking to keep, that I think we've agreed upon. All the other stuff is coming out. Yeah, it's gonna look like that. Other than that, it's gonna be a Japanese maple. We're trying to work with Dean Muzzioli, who works next door and does the buildings next door. He gave us a tentative quote, but he said he can get a large maple tree, Japanese maple tree.
Okay.
Is that something that the Garden Club is agreeable to?
I see their hands raised. Do you want to ask them?
Yes, I think
Yeah,
for
okay.
Lori Thomas.
All right. Oop, she just disappeared. Where'd she go? Oh. Hey, Lori, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I would. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sharon and Ted.
Hi.
I was just speaking with Margaret Picorni about this before the meeting and went over everything. She said she talked to our arborist, Norm Healy, and he also agrees with her and with your arborist that a full-size Japanese maple is really the only way to go. It will have the very best root system for the situation that you have there with all those pipes in your garden. She urged you to make sure you don't just get a regular maple tree because the root system will go after your pipes and make a really uneven area for any other planting or seeding out there that you might want to put in. I told her about the 4 species that we had recommended to you. You might remember the Bloodgood and the Emperor one and the Seryu and the Coral Bark. Margaret told me, and I don't know if you know who Margaret is, but she is longtime tree committee chair. She's very, very active in all things tree and garden related in the Back Bay and in Boston. And she's very, very wise about gardens because she has a degree from the Radcliffe Institute on landscape gardening as well. She just bought 2 coral bark Japanese maples for herself because she's seen them at the Museum of Fine Arts and they are absolutely stunning. She says there aren't any in the neighborhood, which I can concur with. And she said if you put one in your garden, it will be absolutely spectacular with this amazing coral colored bark. It will be a specimen tree for the neighborhood and it won't grow too big. I know that there were some very large specimens at Weston Nurseries, which is very near here and is a very good place to get local trees. So that is what we would recommend most strongly to you. And I hope that works out.
Yes, can you repeat the name of that Japanese maple that you said?
It's called Coral Bark, and
Coral
that's exactly what it has. It also is a beautiful autumn color for the leaves.
Okay, thank you.
So far, Lori, what I have here, I'm looking at it right now, and he's altering the quote, but it says, plant either an Acer palmatum bloodgood maple or an Acer palmatum emperor 2-2.5 caliber. These are both red leaf maples with a shallow root structure. Does not have the same root structures as red maple. And that's what
But we
he,
can always suggest the coral
yeah,
bark.
that's what he
So
has
you-
before.
The Bloodgood is very common in the neighborhood. The Emperor 1 versus just a regular Emperor is a better tree. I don't know about the Emperor 2, but the Acer palmatum Sango kaku coral bark is also something you can find around here in a good size, but we don't have any in the neighborhood, and it would be very
All right,
exciting
yeah,
to
I'll-
have
Yeah,
one.
I'll talk to him
we'll
about that.
suggest
That should
that
be
one.
fine.
Great, thank you. If you have any questions, you know where I am.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think commissioners, there's our feedback from the garden club.
So,
It's
what
like it's
exactly,
good.
what exactly, Sharon, what exactly are you proposing so we can vote on it?
We're proposing to rip up the brick that's down there and plant, this mulch and that Japanese maple, probably the coral bark. And
It will look like that,
kind of like that diagram that was shown.
other than it will be a Japanese maple instead of that.
Well,
As far as the
coral bark.
planters go, we haven't selected any planters. We don't know if you feel they're mandatory or not. We put them in there, but we know you want the evergreens in the tree, and we also were gonna do the perimeter brick and also some granite there you can see around the tree for a little more curb appeal. But it should look pretty much like that.
Okay,
It's a big improvement.
yes, it's a huge improvement. So with that said, I'm ready to make a motion.
All right, we can just bring it up for public comment. Script. There you go.
Members of the public will now have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can press *9 to raise your hand, or you can send your questions to staff via email at backbayac@boston.gov. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person and should be focused on a project's exterior architectural features, which include landscaping. Issues related to use, street traffic, and noise are outside of the commission's purview.
All right. Serge Savard, you can make your comments.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Serge Savard, Chair of co-chair of the Architecture Committee of the Neighborhood Association of the Back Bay. We're definitely in favor of this new planting diagram that was shown. I'm just curious if that was discussed, well, maybe I missed it for a few seconds, about the painting of the building itself, if that was resolved, because I think, Joe, you were looking at the paint color and all that. I'm curious if that was resolved as well.
Yep, that was resolved in January.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands raised or messages coming in.
My motion is to approve Sharon Goldberg's plan as submitted.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
I
I,
All right, no one's opposed, so great. So I'll be following up with both of you, Ted and Sharon. Thank you for your cooperation and
Great.
working with us on
Thank
this.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
We'll make it look great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I think that's it. So you guys someone wants to make a motion to adjourn, we can take a little break until we reconvene at 5 o'clock.
Rob,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
I.
All right, we'll see you at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay. And I will bring up the script. So Kathy, whenever you're ready.
Beautiful, thank you. I'm calling this Back Bay Architectural Commission, somebody got the way here, sorry, Commission Public Hearing to order at 5 p.m. on March 11th, 2026. You may participate in this hearing by going to our Zoom meeting link in our agenda posted online at https://www.boston.gov/public notices /165-668 646-828-7671 or by calling 646-828-7666 and entering ID number 161-957-156. You may also submit written comments or questions to Back Bay at boston.gov in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. We're conducting this hearing online. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Back Bay Architectural Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you may press *9 to raise your hand, or you may send your request to staff via email at backbayac@boston.gov. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person and should be focused on a project's exterior architectural features, which includes landscaping. Issues related to use, street traffic, and noise are outside of the commission's purview.
Yay. Oops. I will just, before we move forward, I'll just do a roll call of commissioners who are present. We have Kathy Connor, David
Yes.
Simpson, Tom High, Susanna Gaspar, Rob Weintraub, and Lisa Tharp. Did I miss anyone? All right, and staff, Joe Cornish, myself, Director of Design Review, and Sarah Lawton, Preservation Assistant, is also here at the hearing. So I think our first item here, Kathy, are the minutes.
Wonderful. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from 2/11/2026, please?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Great.
Kathy Connor,
Yes.
David Sampson,
Yes.
Tom High,
yes.
Susanna Gaspar,
Yes.
Rob Weintraub,
Yes.
and Lisa Tharp.
Yes.
Great.
Sorry, Joe, that was me that called you because I was muted and my video was off.
Okay. You're all set now? We can
Yeah,
see you fine.
you can see me,
and
right?
hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. So we're going to head to project number 1, application to 26.0546, 157 Newberry Street. Is there someone here for 157 Newberry Street, please?
Yeah, if you could raise your hand, the applicant's Molly Hanson, but I don't see Molly on the call. Is there someone here for this project to present? If you could raise your hand. Let's take, oh, here we go, John. Oops. Oop, John, I'll make you a co-host in just 1 second. All right, John, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Sorry, I was fumbling for the raise my hand button. Good afternoon. Thanks for hosting us. And John Day from Blue Hour Design. I have a colleague as well as the builder on with us.
John, if I can just interrupt for one moment, John. Welcome, first of all. We're going to turn this back to Joe so that he can read the staff notes, and then the floor will be yours. Okay?
Excellent.
And John, who else is from your team? And I'll make them a co-host.
Ashley Santacola, who may not need to co-share, but can come up on the screen and smile.
Right, and anyone else?
Just scrolling through here. I think that's it for now. Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to read my staff comments. Staff notes that 157 Newberry Street is a 4-story brick row house built circa 1888 and converted to commercial use in the mid-20th century. The existing penthouse addition was approved by the commission in 2004. Staff recommends approval, finding that this is an alteration to a later addition to the building that is not visible from the ground. So the location of the penthouse, and I actually was standing back on private property, or I think it was public property, the Snowden School, but This is as much of the existing, if you can see my cursor, existing penthouse that you can see, and the work that's being proposed is below that. So, John, did you want to share your screen, or do you want me to move
I
forward?
can
You want to?
share.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll stop sharing and.
Great. So I'll run through the high notes here. Thank you, Joe. And as Joe mentioned, this penthouse was added in 2004 when the building was renovated. Our client is a residential homeowner at the top of the building. And this, of course, shows before the office building next door was added, which further sort of obstructs it. She is, and I think Joe was standing right where this picture is shown. She's requesting to alter and as we replace some aging doors that are on the upper level, we're doing an interior renovation. It's a very high parapet wall, which comes up to almost chest height when you're actually standing on her outdoor space above, and you can really just see the chimneys. This is the boxed spot here. There, so and that's actually the building beyond. That's not our building. So the visibility of our work is not from the ground level or any of the public level. It's from potentially some private ones. Our existing is a series of old and failing patio doors, and unfortunately the wind catches them. It's ripped all the screens off, and they're a little bit small, and they're wearing down. And so as we do this work, we've asked to regularize some of these openings, but to go with sliding doors so that the screens and the doors stop swinging into furniture or getting ripped off when the wind blows on the outside. You'll see in the photos that she's had to put up Velcroed screens because the screen doors don't last all that long. Even they actually open in the wind on their own. And so we've got copper siding on the top here, which we'd be replacing in kind, doing painted wood units, and they're single light to match the rest of the building and to match the existing. So those would be mahogany units as well up above. And so our view corridor, as you can see, sees the top of the chimney, not the penthouse story that was added in the 2000s. Here's our existing. They're failing, and then they've got all these screens to keep the cats in and the bugs out as well. And so we've got these that we're asking to replace, and then with this small window over here to relocate a window and put a new one in that would allow better kitchen light. This is the kitchen here as well. And currently these mahogany tiles will stay as they are. And then just our specifications on wooden mahogany painted windows on the exterior to match the rest of the building. Just a couple of pictures here. That's the large building next door, you know of, and that's her roof deck there. And then across as well, just a few more. It just doesn't really have any visibility. And then a quick image. She's quite a bit higher up. So these are the views across the street. Some are sliders as well. But she's a good bit higher than everybody else. So that limited view condition continues across the property there because of the height of the wall. So that's our request, is to replace those and to repair the copper where we would be making any alterations on size.
Just a couple questions. You're using wood
Yes.
windows, and do you think you'll be able to match the copper so that it doesn't look patchy?
I think it will. It's been up there quite a while, but it's quite consistent, and so our hope is to not have to replace too much, but it would take a little time to age and patina. Maybe it gets left out earlier. Order it now, put it aside, and when the windows come in, we'd have something that isn't penny shiny.
Yeah. Okay.
So certainly we could attempt that.
Yeah.
It's not turned green.
Yeah. No. As a general rule, we sort of like to avoid really glassy penthouse windows that look so suburban. But this, I think, is sort of an exceptional case. First of all, it's in the commercial district. it is not visible. And I went out and I thought I was going to be able to see it by walking down Dartmouth. And I couldn't even see it at an oblique angle from Dartmouth. And it's been approved with this kind of window, except opening ones rather than sliders. So I guess my biggest concern is that we make it clear that if we approve this, that it is a unique situation and it's not a precedent, because we've had lots of other people wanting to put in these kinds of windows in the residential district, where they are visible, perhaps across from the Commonwealth Mall and so forth, and we've required that they not do so. But I think we could craft a motion, and I'd be prepared to do that, that would make it clear that this is an exceptional case.
Any other comments, commissioners? No?
Silence.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it looks fine. And you can't see that from the street anywhere.
Yes, I agree too.
If I stop my share, it lets
Yep.
Joe have control for public comment or any hands.
Thank you. You've done this a few times, so all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it sounds like Tom is ready to make a
Yes.
motion. All right, so I
Great, Tom. Thank you very much. Then we'll go to public comment.
bring up
And-
our script. There we are.
Thank you very much. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to ask questions to provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you may press *9 to raise your hand, or you may send your questions to staff via email at backbayac@boston.gov. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person and should be focused on a project's exterior architectural features, which include landscaping. Issues related to use, street traffic, and noise are outside of the commission's purview. And Serge, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yes, good evening, commissioners and Joe. Serge Savard, co-chair of the Architecture Committee and chairman of NAB, Neighborhood Association of the Back Bay. We have also this similar concern that was raised by the commissioner here, that we found that there was a lot of expanse of glass, and we inquired if it would be possible to maybe put some mullions in the windows and divide just these windows with some mullions. I think that would help drastically for the expanse of glass there, and it would fit better with what we have in other applications that was approved by the commission before. And the second concern that we have is obviously there is recladding here. And if there is new material that needs to be matched with the previous material, we would recommend that the material be remanded to staff to verify that when they're going to be put together, it will be coordinating and matching. Thank you.
Thank you, Serge. Joe, do you see any other hands raised?
No emails are coming in.
Okay, great. Then let's go back to the motion. Tom.
Can I just ask one question of the applicant? Did you take a look at the possibility of mullions, some divided lights?
We did. We looked at a full grid, and it got busy given sort of the size of these openings that exist. We looked at a single row across the top with the total lack of visibility from the public way and really from neighboring units, given the height of it. She preferred and asked if we could keep it consistent with the rest of the building that has no mullions, but also is quite easygoing and would defer to architectural experts.
Okay. Any reactions to that from the commissioners? If not, I'm ready to make a motion.
I had one question. It's it seems that you, in some cases, you have 3 existing doors and you're replacing with 2. Is that a fair statement?
Yep, that's accurate.
And so you were getting a wider look, I think, for the openings, and wondered if you had considered a solution that would maintain the more vertical rectangular look of both the existing panels as well as the double hung windows that are on the rest of the facade.
They actually stay the same here. They actually don't get wider. This one does, of course, here, because we're making it a 2 instead of a 1, and then we're taking this window out and requesting to move it over. But they do stay the same proportion, though we're not having a triple potential like that, because at the moment they're quite cluttered up there.
Yeah, it was that question. I understand the openings are the same, but I wonder if there's, you know, a door system that would give you 3 panels to mimic what was.
Well, they would accordion, I think, in that instance, which is difficult to screen, and they don't close and seal all that well. It gets very windy up there. The swinging doors have been the problem. So part of the solution was, and preference was, if given, you know, the lack of visibility, would be to reduce that opportunity for them to swing and to slam and to have 3 screens and to have an accordion style system, which doesn't work all that well for day to day. It's great for outdoor living, but
I agree that while the openings are remaining the same, and I think the sort of saving grace here is that these are not visible, but I completely agree with Lisa that the proportion of these windows is completely out of scale with the rest of the building. So I think if it were visible, then having a 3-part subdivision within that one opening, as it currently is, and the solution would be to fix one and let only the other 2 open. Or, you know, as you're saying, the accordion, which has mechanical issues with it, but it is a very kind of different proportion than the rest of the building. I understand it's not visible from anywhere, which I think why we would be considering allowing this.
Thank you, Suzanne. Any other commissioner comments? And Tom, would you mind if I gave Sue a moment, even though we came out of the public comment area, because you haven't done your official.
Absolutely, no, please.
Great. Sue, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I pretty much agree with what the last 2 commissioners have said. If there's a way of doing a tripartite division on those large windows, I think it would make a great deal of difference. I have noticed that there's a lot of stuff going up on the roof, which I understand is not visible, but it is visible from across the street. It is visible from surrounding apartments. And if we can make it more consistent with the building, I think it would be a good thing to do. So I might give it one more try. If the architect is willing to do that. Thank you. And I know the other thing, I think this will come back to bite you later.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay. You know, I'm glad to hear the comments from the last 3, Lisa and Susanna and Sue. And I wonder whether what Susanna commented was the idea of 2 fixed and then 2 sliding, because I certainly can see that the accordion would be a problem. And I'm wondering if we should ask the applicant to come back next time with that as an alternative to take a look at. Because that would, I mean, I agree with the objection to the mullions. That would be too busy probably, but the vertical approach, the three segments, if it could be done mechanically, would be much more attractive.
I think it doesn't sound like she has a choice, perhaps. Given the height of this building next door in the commercial district that went up and blocks most of the daylight, she was hoping to have less door frames, 8-inch, and because they're wood, they're hefty all around. But at that point too, they do need to be replaced. So in fact, I guess it would be a replacement in kind, but with a sliding operation. They get a little bit small like that, but operationally, but certainly this needs to be done, and she'd like to progress it. So if we need to come back for that, her motivation for having the massive building next door really block out a lot of this light was hoping to maximize them, right, and not impact from visibility. But I certainly understand your comments as well.
How do the rest of the commissioners feel on that?
Is the tall building to the north of this building? Am I oriented well?
It's to the east.
Eastern light.
To the east, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It was much brighter when she bought it. That's the commercial district risk, I guess.
Yeah, I understand why the commission is split on this. I agree with Joe. I'm in favor of the applicant's proposal as submitted because it's in the commercial district. But we also want to maintain our guidelines and not create a precedent, as Tom indicated. So I'm for it as submitted. However, understand the other commissioners' concerns.
Wow. Any other comments, commissioners, before we move it back to Tom?
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to continue this and ask them to study this option. And if that motion fails, I'm prepared to make another motion. So I move that this application be continued to the next meeting with the applicant to review the feasibility of the three-part windows as opposed to three-part doors as opposed to two-part doors.
I second that.
Okay, I will do the roll call. Kathy Connor,
No.
David Sampson,
Yes.
Tom High,
Yes.
Susanna Gaspar,
Yes.
Rob Weintraub,
No.
and Lisa Tharp.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you next month.
Okay. We'll get right to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you soon. Take care.
Boy, we haven't had a split vote in, I don't know, 10 years.
No, I know.
I know. What's going on, huh?
Well, it's just a
Okay.
question of continuing, that's all.
Yeah, of course, of course. So we're going on to project number 2, which is application 26.0512, 192 Marlborough Street. Is there someone here for 192 Marlborough Street, please?
Yes, Andrew Reck, Oak Hill Architects.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. And we're going to give the mic to Joseph so that he can do his staff notes, and then the floor will be yours.
Thank you.
Staff notes that 192 Marlborough Street is a 4-story brick row house built in 1881 by Samuel Stillings and Joseph Lancaster Builders. Staff recommends approval, finding that the proposed deck, equipment, and head house are not visible from the public way, and that the work is consistent with the design guidelines for the residential area of the district. So I did, just so you can see, there was a mock-up in place, or still is in place, which I tried really hard to see from the ground, and I couldn't. So this was one view from what I think is the farthest intersection for the front facade, and then at the rear I couldn't see anything either. So with that, Andrew, I'm happy to let you share, or would you like me just to move through with your presentation?
Either, whatever's easiest. I could share the screen.
Yeah, I'll let you, I'll stop sharing. That way you can. Okay, it's all yours.
Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, and there. Okay, well, thank you everyone for letting us present this tonight. As I said, my name's Andrew Reck with Oak Hill Architects, and Lee Yang is on this call as well from my office. So Joe just made the point that I was going to start with, is that we did provide a mock-up, and Joe and we as well felt that the proposed work won't be visible from a public way. So just for context, what we're hoping to do is build a roof deck and a head house, and replace some AC condensers, some existing condensers. So you all have this in the submission, but just to run through quickly, you can see 192 Marlborough Street there from Exeter Street. A little further in, and then this is facing the other way. And then there are a couple shots from the alley. Here's one and the other. This is up on the existing roof. Marlborough Street's to the left, and you can see that there's a head house already next door. This is 190 Marlborough Street. And what you see in the lower left corner is the top of the elevator for this building, which is it's a couple of feet off the roof currently. That's just a view straight on, looking east, a little bit more towards Marlborough Street. This is the roof deck at 190. And then again, just for context, looking across the street from the roof, you can see examples of many other head houses. And these are the existing AC condensers that would be replaced in the same locations, same quantity and same locations. So we had a plot plan done, certified plot plan, and I'll go into more detail with this in our plans, but this is just to show the general building. And this is the proposed layout, which again, I'll get into in more detail, but the relevant point here is that this is the silhouette of the head house that will not exceed the zoning requirements for the building height. So here's the proposed plan for the deck. There was a roof deck there before our current our clients owned it. Not that it's overly relevant for this, but the current access to the roof is a sliding skylight that's in this location, and we're hoping to put a minimal profile head house here to get better access. So it's exactly the same footprint as what's there now. And then there's a step, there are two steps actually in the deck, so that on this part of the deck, it's about the same distance off, the railing is about the same distance off the deck as it is here. So you don't have a very high deck at any point. Marlborough Street, by the way, is the top of the page. And then this is the elevator vent. This is that little piece I showed you in the initial photograph, and this would just be a bench a couple of feet off the deck. And then metal railings that would go, again, this is on the Marlborough Street side, and then along the AC condensers, another railing at this end, and some built-in benches and planters along this side as well. And the deck is contained between the two chimneys here. So this is the chimney on the alley side. I'm sorry?
Can I ask you a question on that for a second?
Yeah.
First of all, and I didn't see this on the plan, but I may have missed it. What is the siding of the head house?
Oh, I should have said it'll be copper.
And is that noted on the plans?
I believe it is. We have some building sections, so when we get there,
Okay,
I
great.
can look at that. But
And this may again just be a drafting issue. Joe indicated that the deck complied with the guidelines, and it doesn't really in the front. Your railing is not behind the inside face of the chimney.
I think if you look to the left, isn't it? To the right, but to the chimney to the left.
Right.
when we've had, are these two chimneys, they're not in the same position, right?
No,
And Joe, when we've had a situation of uneven chimneys, have we allowed them to use the forward chimney?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because I think we need to be pretty firm on that rule.
yeah, and this is the closer chimney, both, you know, the outer face is quite a bit beyond here, and then the back is a little bit
Okay.
north of this one. Okay. All right, so I'll move on. So here are the building sections. I'll come back to whether this is noted. I just want to see those drawings down there, but if not, it can be easily. This is
Yeah.
this would be unlacquered copper, so it would age pretty quickly, standing seam. And we've minimized the profile of this as much as possible. So this slopes down towards Marlborough Street, which is on this side. So what you're seeing here, this is the top of the elevator that I was talking about. This is the level of the deck when you step out, so that the railing to the roof is comparable on both sides, and then it steps up on here. We're also going to, the goal is to modify framing for this deck as we need to within the existing roof structure. So the only framing that we're adding to the roof are sleepers to make the deck level. And then this is the built-in bench and planters along this side, and you'll see that it's the same height as the railing at the back of the alley side. And this is a cross-section through the head house. And then before the mock-ups were done, after we talked to Joe the first time, we did this view diagram. So this is the silhouette of the head house. And these are the buildings across Marlborough Street and across the alley. And you can see you'd have to be up pretty high before you would start to see anything. So your question on the head house, if it's not in our narrative, we can definitely or say, you know, whatever format you would want in the
Yeah, it's simply a question that if it's not noted on the plan, we should mention it in our motion. Just frequently what happens if people don't mention it on the plan is it gets forgotten. So,
Understood. But yes, the intention is absolutely for that
yeah,
to be
good.
covered.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's it. Unless you have any questions. I'll just go back to the beginning.
Any other questions or detailed questions at all, commissioners?
I'm ready to make a motion.
It's okay, right, and let's go to public comment.
All right, if you'll stop sharing, I'll just go to our script. Great, thank you. Okay.
Members of the public will now have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you may press *9 to raise your hand, or you may send your questions to staff via email at backbayac@boston.gov. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person and should be focused on a project's exterior architectural features, which include landscaping. Issues related to use, street traffic, and noise are outside of the commission's purview. And Serge, I see your hand is raised again.
Yes, thank you, Kathy.
Of course.
I have a question regarding we reviewed this at our architecture committee, and we didn't have any concern regarding the head house itself. But looking at the plan, I just realized that the mechanical seems to be drawn at a different shape compared to what we see in the pictures. Is there any changes in mechanicals that are planned on the roof?
No, there are currently 6 condensers and they would stay in exactly the same location that they are now.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? I don't see anything. Joe, do you?
No other comment.
Okay, great. Then let's go back to the motion.
My motion is for approval with the proviso that the applicant install standing seam copper panels on the proposed head house.
Second,
And I do want to note that Commissioner Tomby Nair is also present. So sorry, Tomby, I didn't see you. So glad you're here. Kathy Connor,
Yes.
David Sampson,
Yes,
Tom Hyde,
yes,
Susanna Gaspar,
Yes.
Rob Weintraub,
Yes.
Lisa Tharp,
Yeah.
and Tomby Nair.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you all
Thank you
very
very
much.
much, Andrew. Take
Okay.
care.
Take care.
Now we're moving on to project 3, which is application 26.0688. It's 124 Beacon Street. Is there someone here for 124 Beacon Street, please?
Yes, I'm here, the owner, Jahan Mohabali.
Thank you, John. If you could wait for just a moment, Joe's going to read his staff notes and then the floor will be yours.
And Jahan, is there anyone else here?
No, it's just me today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Staff notes that 124 Beacon Street is a 5-story stone row house built between 1859 to 1860. The upper level of the rear elevation is a later addition. In March 2025, the commission approved changes to the windows and roof configuration at the 9th and 10th story of the rear of the building. In December 2025, the applicant presented this current project to the commission for an advisory review. The commission was supportive of the project, provided there was no increase in height of the head house. Staff recommends approval, finding that this is an atypical building in the district and that the proposed work is taking place at a later addition, which is minimally visible from the public way. All right. Would you like to share your screen or would you? Yep.
Yes, that would be great.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So just to recap a bit from what we discussed at the design review last time, and let me see if I can. No, I want to switch this around. Give me 1 second here. Okay.
And that was it was advisory review last time.
Yes, advisory review. Thank you. So we have this this head house up here with these oval windows. This is standing seam copper. There's a pyramidal sort of roof structure with 2 skylights, one of which is a dome. And as you'll see in the picture, the dome actually exceeds the height of the head house quite a bit. This is the view again from the north elevation. This is facing Back Street, and this is the east elevation and cross section. These are views taken from Back Street, and this in particular is a view taken from the Fiedler Footbridge. This is a very zoomed in view, however. And as Joe noted, with our application in March of last year, we were granted approval to replace and reconfigure these sliders, as well as to raise this roof slightly and alter the pitch of it. Now we're focused on seeking approval for revision of this head house and construction of an adjacent roof deck. Part of this is coming from the fact that this head house is in a state of tremendous disrepair. As we have, as construction has begun, we have noted that the extent of rot and damage is terrible. And in fact, within this, the standing seam copper, there's essentially nothing. In some places, there was drywall placed on the inside of the standing seam copper with no studs, no plywood, nothing in between. And as you can see, while these windows are quite unique and beautiful, the sills and the casements around them are completely rotted. To give an idea of dimension, this is the current flat roof. this portion of the head house stands about 4.8 feet. And then from this edge or this cornice line up to the apex of the dome is about another 3 feet. And then, of course, we have the elevator overrun and the elevator vent that sits at the top that exceeds the height of the head house. This is the design that we had presented for advisory review last time. The major feedback that we were given, one, that this should not be an ornate railing to match the lower balcony. So we have changed that to a simple railing. The other feedback that we got, in particular on the north elevation, was that this sort of continuous sheet of glass, even with the mullions, was a bit much. And the suggestion was to, at the very least, separate these into 3 separate windows, which we've done. We did discuss the fact that the deck only encompasses this portion of the roof. However, we entertain the possibility of carrying the railing all the way across. As you'll see in the iterations that we've created, we have both versions of that available. Again, this is the east elevation. This is the sight line from Beacon Street. And you'll see that on the east elevation of the head house, we're proposing a series of sliding doors to allow for access to the roof deck. Our goal in rebuilding this and raising the height was to at least get a 5.5 or 6 foot door here to make egress to that deck possible. Even with that increase in height, the overall height of the head house to the apex of that bubble dome that's there will remain constant. So I asked Josh last time, if you recall, about a year ago, we considered multiple configurations for the rear sliders and the transoms. And it seemed to work best to propose all the options and allow the commission to pick and tell us what to do. And we're very open to that. So I asked Josh to do the same thing here. So this is the existing condition. This is a version where we have some small transoms up top to mimic these transoms that were approved. This is a version with arches. And I also asked Josh to draw a version that reincorporates those oval windows in the form of a transom. I recall Tom and Susanna, I think specifically, noted that those were sort of interesting and quirky, and would there be a way to potentially retain those? So again, our goals are just to rebuild the structure so it's not falling apart, and to gain access to the roof with a normal sized door. Other than that, we are very open to whatever you all would recommend. These would be wood windows, true divided light windows, and the entire head house would be wrapped in copper to match the existing or what was there, and also to match the roof here, which we are in the process of building, and this entire roof is also copper. And that's all I have.
Any comments?
I'm wondering if you considered options that would more closely retain the window to wall ratio of that head house, so not so glassy as these 3 would suggest.
We have not considered anything other than what we have drawn here. Again, I think this is what we started with, and so we felt that we were decreasing the amount of glass, or altering the ratio a bit by spreading these out. And then in this proposal, we're doing that even further with the transoms, and certainly in this one with the ovals. We would also be happy to continue this railing all the way across to the parapet to help block some of the lower portion of the glass as drawn in this iteration, if the commission felt that was more appropriate.
I think I was just reacting to the fact that I find all of these 3 fairly busy, lots of elements and no arches and so on. So in some ways, I think the one that you're not showing, the original iteration, that one,
yes,
appears to be the most sort of benign.
Sure.
If you want, I'm sorry about that word.
No, not at
That's a
all.
good word.
I'm just,
I like that word.
I think when we look at those three, I think we should just keep this in mind as well.
Sure.
To
Yes,
sort of
absolutely.
just keep it in the running.
But you've got a different height, I think. This is lower, isn't it?
This would be the same height as these in terms of these dotted lines that go across to represent the.
Okay. So if we were taking that drawing and applying it to, I'm having problem with the amount of, it looks shorter and squattier here than it does the way you've drawn it in the others. Would it be equivalent to taking the one with the arches and just taking off the arches? Is that basically what we're talking about?
We would be happy to maintain the windows in those dimensions if that is what you would recommend.
I'm just trying to visualize because I agree with what Susanna's saying. I'm just trying to visualize it in your new context.
Yes, based on the relative location of the apex of this arch compared to where the parapet wall is, comparing that to here,
Yeah.
Perhaps this is a tiny bit higher, but similar.
I think the
Susanna?
proportion changes a great deal because the railing kind of covers the lower 45% of the surface.
Yes.
So it does look very much squatter than in the other ones. But I'm just trying to in my head compare the rail to the full height, and it's pretty consistent between this drawing with respect to the other three that you have lined up on the next slide or whatever, two slides down.
I do want to say this is the first time I'm seeing these, and staff doesn't support any of them. I think, what you originally submitted is what staff supports.
Sure.
And what you originally submitted is this one.
This one is what we originally presented at the design advisory review.
Right.
And this is in response to the information that we received about spreading the windows out and changing
Right.
the railing.
So the right side of this drawing could
Yes.
be replicated on slide 8. On the other
Absolutely.
side.
Yes.
Pull the railing across and have
Yes.
the single 3 individual rectilinear
Yes.
windows.
We would be very happy to do that design.
I think you're kind of testing our comparison in memory here, but what I'm also seeing is that on the slide 6 version, the side panel is quite a bit narrower than in these 3 versions. So it seems like the windows here are just occupying less of that surface. I'm just wondering what, if you were to adopt the geometry of the slide 6, would you be able to narrow the windows back to where the slide 8 versions are showing? If I'm
Okay.
making any sense here, if you know
Yes,
what
if I'm understanding you correctly, essentially we are talking about the width of the windows being something like this without the transom and with this height, correct? And we're basing that in part on the location of the line of the standing seam copper. Here, this window here, this window starts at that line, whereas over here, the windows are much narrower.
That's correct. That's what I was trying to explain here in a, convoluted fashion.
I think the narrowness is helpful to not overglass the entire structure.
Sure.
Which was an earlier concern, and we thank you for your repeat attempts to address the concerns of the commission.
We would be happy to implement everything that was just mentioned, which would basically be a hybrid of these designs.
And just to reiterate, I'm trying to get my arms around this. I understand the top portion of it where the railing is simplified. What about the openings below that? When you're saying hybrid, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something.
When I say hybrid, I'm referring to using the width that we see depicted here
Mhm.
With this design. So these
The
simple,
design on the right, yeah.
yes,
Design on the
these-
right, yeah.
yes, these simple 8 light windows maintain this height, but narrow the width to reflect what we saw on the other one, and continue the railing all the way across to the parapet as you see here.
Thank you for the clarification.
I apologize for asking everybody to flip back and forth between these slides.
Any other questions, commissioners? Or concerns?
With respect to, can you flip back to the other?
Yes.
The plans that you sent out initially
Yes.
had a different a wider design for the 3 skylights, which we approved in March.
Yes.
And this is now what we approved, and I'm assuming that that's what we're talking about. You're not modifying those.
So I'm very glad you brought that up. In discussion or in feedback from the original meeting in March, and then also some of the feedback that we have received more recently, both at the advisory review previously and with this most recent iteration from NAB, multiple folks have brought up the idea or the consideration of introducing some degree of operational aspect to these skylights to help with heat gain and ventilation. This area is actually open to the head house. So we, as construction has progressed, we have been looking at modifying this skylight layout and design. And of course, we would like to come back to discuss that. And I have some iterations of that drawn out. But our priority today was to try to get approval for the head house because it quite literally is barely standing, and we are eager to be able to have permission to take that apart. And then the plan would be for me to return to discuss some of the skylight iterations. With the skylight modification, just because we're talking about it, we would not be changing the outer perimeter, the outer boundary of these skylights. We would be looking at cutting the left and right skylight to accommodate an operational skylight at the top aspect of it, and then widening the center skylight. But again, I recognize that was not part of this original application, and so I don't want to take up time to discuss.
Well, and you can't, exactly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
It's
Thanks,
not on
Joe.
our-
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So
I just want to make sure that I understood what was going on there, and
Yes.
I do now. Thank you.
No, good job, John. Thanks. Any other questions, commissioners?
I just have one question. Is the east elevation, if I understand this orientation correctly, part of this submission? So when you showed us the east elevation with the, those, is that part of this submission? Or
yes.
okay. So those are, well, it's not visible from anywhere, again, if you listen to the previous one, but it might be helpful to separate them to help with height, reducing the, the distance that you need between the cornice line and the top of the doors. I mean, if that would help. It's a fairly wide opening. And I don't know what there was before. I don't remember what the existing condition was.
So that is the space here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Our hope was to do a telescoping or sliding door here to allow for the space to open up to the roof deck. So that was our intention with the way it's drawn currently.
I mean, again, it's not really visible from anywhere, even from fairly tall buildings, across the street. So I'm not opposed to it. Just wanted to understand.
I can try to craft a motion that incorporates. I agree completely with the comments, Susanna's comments about the northern windows, and it sounds like That would be more consistent with what we looked at in the advisory. And I think the final design, though, is going to need to be looked at by Joe just to make sure, because it's impossible to capture in words this
Absolutely.
discussion. And we unfortunately don't have a final drawing, and I really don't think we want to ask you to continue this, so
Okay.
I could
So
try to
shall
make
we-
motion along those grounds.
All right.
All right,
If
Tom,
we
I'm sure
stop,
you
yep, sharing your screen, I will bring up our script.
fantastic.
Yeah, John, if you can stop
Yes,
screen,
my apologies.
that's okay. All right. All right, here you go.
Thank you very much. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you may press *9 to raise your hand, or you may send your questions to staff via email at backbayac@boston.gov. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person and should be focused on a project's exterior architectural features, which includes landscaping. Issues related to use, street traffic, and noise are outside of the commission's purview. So Serge, back to you.
Thank you so much. We did work with the applicant on a number of these version as the commission has done over the past months. We didn't see the last rendering that was shown on slide 8 before. We really more focus on slide 6, and we were comfortable with the design on the right. So if the commission sees the second version of slide 8 in terms of width of each window is applied to the design of slide 6, and the railing is continued all along the way, I think this would be totally in line with what our committee was envisioning for this design. And we think that a simpler design would probably be helping this building, which has a lot of different already characteristic in this building. And we'd like to thank also the applicant here that is been going through this process and been following the process, and it's been great working with people that are willing to work with the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Serge. Susan.
Thank you. Yeah, I just think it's important that all sides of the upper structure be shown to Joe, so that you really get a handle of what's going on there. I think this is a vast improvement over what we've seen before, and I congratulate the owner.
Thank you, Sue. So I don't see anyone else, do you?
Nope, no other comments.
All right, wonderful. Then let's go back to the motion.
Okay, here we go.
Good luck.
Approved with the provisos that the design of the fenestration on the northern wall of the head house is to be 3 spaced windows with muntins without transoms, consistent with the commission's previous advisory review, with the design of these windows and all doors to be approved by the staff. Second, that the windows and doors are to be of wood with true divided lights. And third, that the head house siding will be of standing seam copper. Both of the latter two were mentioned in this presentation, but aren't, I don't believe, shown on the plan. So.
And the railing extension, Tom?
Good point. We'll add in there that the railing extension, the railing on the on the northern side will extend across the entire facade.
Second.
All right, that was Rob. Kathy Connor,
Yes.
David Sampson,
Yes.
Tom Hott,
Yes.
Zana Gaspar,
Yes.
Rob Weintraub,
Yes.
Letha Tharp,
Yes.
Tom Vinager.
Yes.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Going to the administrative review, an approval for applications. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, there's Rob and David. Kathy Connor,
Yes.
David Sampson,
Yes.
Tom High,
Yes.
Susanna Gaspar,
Yes.
Rob Weintraub,
Yes.
Lisa Tharp,
Yes.
and Tommy Nager.
Yes.
Okay. I don't
Joe, do
think
we
I
have
have
any staff
any,
updates?
yeah, I don't think I have anything new to report. Our next hearing will be on the 8th, so it's not going to be, it's kind of the earliest that it can ever
Possible.
be in a month.
Mhm.
So we'll see if we get any more projects coming in before then. But otherwise, our district continues to be quiet, but it looks great. If you were out the past few days, it looks really great.
Fantastic. That's terrific. I have a question regarding the get together that I missed. Did everybody have a nice time?
I think, Rob, you were one of the only ones
It was
that
just me and
and Genia.
Yeah.
You guys so wanted to go, but well, did you have
so
a
did
good time,
we.
Rob?
Yeah.
They did a great job. Great job.
Ah,
It's a
I'm so
great
dis-
building.
Great.
Great job renovating it. And the speaking program was really very educational and entertaining.
Oh, good. I'm so sorry I missed it. I was there in spirit for sure. All right. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Great.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'd say it's unanimous.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all for coming and have a lovely evening.
Thank you. And I see I'm
Bye.
going to stop recording. And George, you hang on there. I see you have your hand raised, so I will come and
Great.
Thank you all.
you.
Thank you.